What's good, fam? Welcome to the next episode of Veterans of the Game podcast. We're a podcast that explores the lifestyles, the leisure activities, and sometimes even the laugh out loud moments as experienced by our military veterans around the globe. You can find us on the Ebony Ascent platform at www.ebonyascent.com. You can also interact with us on Twitter at Ascent Ebony, on Instagram at Ebony Ascent, Facebook and YouTube as well at Ebony Ascent. So check us out, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all the things so you can stay notified anytime we drop a new episode. I'm your host, Army Chief Warrant Officer Maine G. And today we have a very special guest, Army veteran Mr. Robert J. Stevens. Bobby J, what's good, man? How you doing?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, bro. So for the people, kind of explain who you are, where you're from. What was your military journey like?
Well, I joined 2004 back in Orange County, California. I left a bad situation there. I was living with my parents. Ex-girlfriend dumped me and I couldn't get promoted at my job. So you know what? I said, screw it. I'm out of here. I'm joining the Army.
So you said your girlfriend dumped you?
Yeah, she dumped me, and then a month later she started dating someone else. So that's when I was like, oh, I'm done. So
man, yeah. Usually they wait for you to join the Army and deploy before they dump you.
So Jody, get some Jody action. Yeah,
you took care of business before you even joined.
Yep. Yeah. So she was the catalyst. I just said, screw it, I'm out of here.
I hear you, man. So what was the situation that you kind of left out of?
Living with my parents in Southern California. I didn't really like going to college at the time. I was too dumb, or not dumb, but I was too immature to really handle it. Yeah. I was working at Disneyland. So just, I don't know, just ready for a change, and the Army provided that for me.
Were you one of the Disney characters?
No, I was a ride-out. I wasn't tall enough, actually, or I wasn't short enough. So I was a ride operator.
A ride operator, okay. Yeah. So not the career path that you wanted to make a living for the rest of your life?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
So yeah, I joined the Army and was in for 12 years. I joined as a 97 Echo back then, a human intelligence collector, and then they changed it to 35 Mike later. But yeah, deployed with obviously with you out of Fort Sam Houston. That long ass 15-month deployment. Also been deployed to Afghanistan back when I was in 4th Brigade 1st ID. Stationed at Fort Irwin in between, Fort Sam and Fort Riley. And then ultimately I got out in Fort Bragg because I injured myself doing a good old 18th Airborne Corps 20K road march. And the lieutenant that planned it he did it via Google Earth. So it was the whole thing was on a tank trail, man. It was all gravel road. So I rolled my ankle really bad. And the captain that was behind me, who was also doing the 20K, she said she saw it. Oh, I'm frozen. Oh, there we go.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, okay. She said she saw it and it looked like my leg had touched, like the bottom of my leg had touched the ground. Like that's how bad it. Yeah. So I ended up having to get reconstructive surgery, and then I had an injury I got in Afghanistan on my right ankle, and then that one went out because it was overcompensating, and then that's when the Army said, "Okay, you're out."
Yeah. So did you have aspirations to even retire? Were you planning on staying in?
Yeah, I think originally I was going to stay for 20 years. I was tossing it around in my head because my next enlistment would have been in def.
In def, baby.
Yeah, and at that point I would have had to have made the decision. Okay, am I getting out? Am I staying in? But I'm pretty sure I would have stayed in.
Yeah.
Just done the 20 and gotten out. But yeah, I got med boarded instead.
So yeah, once you cross that 10-year mark, it's kind of the decision is really already made for you. Yeah. Just cruise, maybe 2 more assignments and get out of there.
Yep.
So I know you said you had a brief tour in Fort Irwin.
Yep.
And nobody wants to go to Fort Irwin. You are the only person in the history of the Army that re-enlisted for Fort Irwin.
I re-enlisted specifically to go to Fort Irwin.
Crazy talk, man. What led to that?
I'm meeting my girlfriend, now wife. That's ultimate. Oh, I'm frozen again. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Ultimately, that was a big decision. Was Megan. I met her when I was home on leave after our deployment to Iraq. her and I just instantly clicked, and I wanted to get out of good old 201st.
201 worst.
Yeah, 201 worst. And really the only place in California, she lived in California at the time. She lived there with her mom. And really the only place I could have gone to was Fort Irwin.
Yeah.
So I went there. They had a Myco there. So that's where I went.
Yeah, and realistically speaking, Fort Irwin's not too far from your hometown. What was it, like 90 minutes or so? From
About 2 hours.
2 hours, okay.
Yeah, about 2 hours. I mean, Fort Irwin was 2.5 hours away from Vegas, 2 hours away from home, 3 hours away from San Diego, like 4 or 5 hours away from San Francisco. So, you know, it was a decent location. We went to Vegas a bunch. It was fun there.
Yeah.
I went there and flew like $1,600 before we were married. That's why I don't gamble anymore. Yeah, I went there and blew like $1,600 playing craps, and I just wasted a whole paycheck or more. Yeah, so that's why I don't gamble anymore. But we still love Vegas. I'll sit there and I'll put $20 in a slot machine and get a couple beers, you know. And well, Megan, she does pretty good in the slot machines. I don't.
She has a touch, huh? She's
I guess so. Yeah, I don't.
With a slot machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've only gambled once ever in my life. I'll never forget it. 2004. So it was following my very first deployment. Took a cruise. I think it was with Brooklyn's mom, as a matter of fact. So me and her, we took a cruise of the Caribbean, and they have like a little casino on the cruise ship.
Yeah, they got it. Yeah, you don't ever gamble in those. Though I think we tried. We both put in $20 to those slot machines, and it went away instantly.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a slot machine. It was blackjack. I figured if I'm going to gamble, I'm going to gamble, you know, at a game where at least I have an opportunity to turn chance in my favor.
I'm pretty sure they mess with the odds on the slot machines on the cruises.
Yeah, because you're trapped. What are you going to do? Get off the boat?
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped, I would say, I think it was like a $25 buy-in. I played one hand of blackjack. I didn't bust. I think it was I think I got beat like 20-19 by the dealer.
Oof, that's
and
hard.
Yeah, 20-19 by the dealer, and I was like, "Yep, never again. I'm done." Yeah. $25. So I've only ever lost $25 in my life.
Well, that's good. Yeah, better than me. I just don't gamble anymore. So.
Yeah, and me either. I only gambled once. Haven't gambled since. That was it, bro.
Yeah, learned your lesson. I wish I would have done that.
Oh, well. Yeah, after $1,600, I guess that's a expensive lesson to learn. But
it was. Yeah, it was a very expensive lesson.
It happens. It happens. Yep. So, in between there, did you have any cool assignments, or did you do any cool missions? Because you've had a couple of deployments.
In Afghanistan, I had I wouldn't really call it boring. It wasn't as exciting as some of the other guys. I mean, I didn't go out on any crazy ass patrols. I didn't get shot at or blown up or anything like that. I was, for the first part, I worked in the OMT. I was just grading reports, sending them up and fixing corrections, that sort of stuff. And then the second half, I got sent to this little teeny tiny FOB called FOB Rushmore in Paktika province. And it was right next to the government, like the provincial leadership compound. So we had the AUP, the ANA, the provincial leadership compound, and the NDS were all around us. So, and we only shared the only outside wall we had was about 100 meters. But they said if a V-bed would have hit the front gate, it would have taken out like half the base. So that's how small the FOB was.
That's how small it was.
Yeah. And there, I was just working with the S2, and then we would, I don't know how much I can talk about, but
don't say anything classified.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Yeah, no, it was just information sharing. We'll call it that.
Okay.
So, and then I would write reports on that. So that was
all right. Yeah, that's not too bad. So when was that deployment?
2012 to 2013. It was a 9-month deployment to Afghanistan.
Okay. So that's when you were in First ID.
Yeah, 4th Brigade, First ID. Yep. They're no longer a brigade anymore, actually.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because we kind of reconnected out there at Fort Riley.
That's right. Yeah, you were stationed. You were in 2nd Brigade?
2nd Brigade, yep.
Yeah, 2nd Brigade. Okay.
Yeah. So I ended up when I first got there, I was the OMT chief for 52nd BEB. So the MICO under the 52nd BEB, and then I ended up promoting into the brigade S2X position for 2nd Brigade. So,
Cool.
and I think we did some cool stuff. We kind of got out of the CENTCOM rotations, and we started doing the AFRICOM mission. So we were
I never got sent to. I never got any of that. I got sent to Fort Bragg before they really started rotating people over to Africa.
Yeah, it was so crazy because I was tapped to go to Nigeria, and like 5 days before I flew out is when Boko Haram kidnapped those 230 something women, and the embassy shut down any travel coming in or out of there. So it was that kind of threw a wrench in my plans to go to Africa. So
Fort Bragg wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. And granted, I wasn't in 82nd. I wasn't airborne. I was a leg. I wasn't airborne. I was in the 525 MI brigade. It wasn't terrible. The first part I didn't really care for because I was in a MICO and they were all set in their ways. They just got back from deployment, so they were all, they kept to themselves. And then a little bit after that, I ended up being sent up to battalion. The sergeant major, because we were I forget what it was called, but basically we were like a short notice deployment. Fort Bragg was big on short notice deployments where they would send us, within 24 hours, they had to be ready to go somewhere. So the battalion sergeant majors started up this thing he called Blue Platoon, which was basically training. I was originally brought in as just one of the NCOs. We would train them on driver's training. We'd get them CLS. We'd get them all their required, I forget what, 350-1 training, or I forget what it's called now. I've been out for so long, but it was all the required training that they would have to do. And they would be with us for 4 or 5 weeks. And then eventually I took over the Blue Platoon and made it my own. And we had a whole classroom and everything. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then I got sent up to Brigade S3. So I got to experience a lot of different things my time in the Army.
Okay. Yeah. So you ended your time as a Brigade S3.
Yep.
You was the ops NCO?
Yeah, I wrote op orders.
Yeah.
My sergeant major loved me. The ops sergeant major loved me because I'd always find issues with the op order that came down from 18th Airborne Corps, and she loved bringing those up to 18th Airborne Corps ops.
You're lucky she didn't snitch and say it was you that was finding them. Because could you imagine 18th Airborne getting told? Because you made it to
by some random staff sergeant.
Yeah, some staff sergeant down at
There was one I remember in particular. She had called me on after I had left. I was home. She was like, "Hey, how come you sent this information up directly to ForceCom? This sergeant first class up at ForceCom?" And I was like, "That's what the op order told me to do." It was for a marksmanship championship or ForceCom marksmanship or something. I don't remember. Tournament, something like that. It said to send the contact info for the people that wanted to participate directly to some sergeant first class up at ForceCom. So I was like, okay, I sent it to this sergeant first class. And then 18th Airborne Corps got all mad at her and started chewing her out. And then she called me and started chewing me out. And I was like, "Sergeant Major, I was doing what was on the op order." She's like, "What do you mean?" So I showed her the op order. It's like, "Oh, thank you." She went into her office and shut her door. And she came out and said, "That was awesome." And that
was that's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
So out of your time in the military, what was the thing that you would say you got the most out of your service?
It's a tough question. I would say, well, one, it definitely taught me a lot about myself, learning, my physical and emotional limits, being patient with how to deal with leaders above me and being a leader myself. It really taught me patience, I would say. And I also learned to shut up because back when I was a private, I was really sarcastic. pissed off a lot of people, and I got dropped a lot. And eventually I was like, man, I'm tired of doing push-ups, I'm tired of getting my ass smoked out and behind the company. So I just shut up, I just stopped talking. People like, oh, Stevens, you're doing really good. We're going to send you the promotion board. I was like, fucking really? Okay.
All I had to do was not say anything.
All I had to do was shut up and not make sarcastic remarks, apparently.
That's probably the biggest. So like anybody who was, especially in the 201st, who kind of, we both know their biggest takeaway from knowing you is that, yeah, you kind of always
had something to say.
You always had something to say, whether it be, right, wrong, or indifferent. You just had to, you
had to say
share your opinion.
Yep, that is true.
And I think that the Army, and kind of these days, the Army is kind of getting away from, just take orders and do as you're told. And they're kind of looking for people to be involved and getting multiple perspectives. And I think that
2004, 2005, they were not.
Yeah, they were not.
You had those Romeos that they thought they were the shit and no one questioned them,
Yeah, they were so good.
They didn't like sarcastic remarks or sarcastic undertones.
Bro, they were so good that the Army got rid of their MOS. That's what I would always say. Like, whatever.
Cool, whenever man. They would come in. They went around when our first deployment, when we were in Kuwait, they got a tab to put under, the things they pulled up. They got a tab to put on the underside of their pocket tab that said Romeo.
Yeah.
And one of them showed me that, and I was like, man, you should just get one that says "Can't let go."
Yeah, see, stuff like that as an E4, an E5, yeah, that would get you scuffed up, man.
Oh yeah, I was like E3.
Yeah,
PFC. I was E3, E2 saying this shit to sergeants, staff sergeants, and they didn't like that.
But yeah, anytime one of them would come and they'd be super cool, like any sort of field training or leaders time sergeants time training as it was back then. They would get on their high horse, and I'd be like, yeah, man, you guys are so good that the Army saw fit to get rid of your MOS. Give it a break.
Pop-up targets, man. Excuse me, I'm down. That's all they were, pop-up targets.
Yeah, bro.
Mad at me for saying that. Oh well.
That's funny.
Not in it anymore. They can't do shit about it.
I think so with your opinionated nature, because like you were the type of soldier that if you saw something wrong, whether it affect you directly or whether it was affecting somebody else, you were the type of soldier that, hey, this doesn't look right, we need to fix it. And back in 04, 05, 06, we were kind of in an army where, it was a combat army at the time. And we were in an army where, hey, the NCOs gave you an order, follow that shit. You know what I mean?
And I wouldn't really say is, hey, we need to fix this. Is more of me just pointing out the issue and not really saying how to fix it. I think that's what got under a lot of people's skin. I was like, well, this is stupid. Why are we doing this?
Yeah. So this doesn't look right. Why are we doing it? Yeah. And NCOs didn't really take comment to that. Yeah.
No.
And I think that because of your, the mentality that you had, I think that you would have, had you been able to stick it out a little bit longer, you would have made a pretty good warrant officer, or maybe even an O-grade officer, because I know you did some school and stuff while you were in.
Yeah.
Because you see a situation and you say, this is dumb as fuck, man. and I think that you kind of had a way to come up with the solution to fix the dumb as fuck, but you just, people would pounce on you before you got to that point.
Exactly. And that's like the 201st, they were terrible with that, man. They would just freaking destroy you if you even said anything. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna stop. I'm just gonna shut up. I'm just gonna sit here and do my little online training. And that's when they're like, oh, Stevens, you're doing a lot better. And I was like, okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah, it was kind of a similar situation. I don't know if you recall, like my first 6 months in the 201st was pretty rough because I had been in the Army for like 4 years.
Yeah, but your was a little different, man. Like Fort Sam Houston, that was my first duty station. You actually deployed. You got a Purple Heart. Like that's more than 99% of what the Romeos did. So,
and that was
they were hot shit.
And that was part of my issue too. Is that like I showed up to the unit kind of a grown-ass man, even in Army terms. Even as an E4, I was a squad leader in a special ops unit that had deployed for 15 months and then trained our replacements or a replacement unit for about 2 months after we got back. so that they knew what to be prepared for. And then I reclassed, became a 97 Echo, and ended up in the 201st. And I was used to big boy rules, man. Special ops unit, when they say, hey, formation's at 6 o'clock, or accountability is at 6 o'clock, we show up 5 minutes till, hey, I'm here, this is what I'll be doing, and we're gone, and we do our thing for the day. And I just was not used to being in regimented, back to the basics Army. And so it was a kind of a tough transition for me. And, I'm in trouble all the time, and I'm talking back to, E6s, because I was in an E6 position as an E4. So like E6s were my peers in my previous unit. And it was just a rough 6 months for me. And
I remember that. I remember you showing
to,
up late a few times to formation. They're saying, wait, where's Terry at?
And late at the time was like 5 minutes before formation, but
they
not
wanted
15
you there at
minutes
least
early.
10 minutes, if not more.
Yeah. So, and I'm saying, well, if you want me to show up at 5:45, tell me to be there at 5:45. I got you. Don't tell me to be there at 6 and then be mad at me when I'm there at 5:50. You know what I mean?
I remember. And then they calling you like, where is he? He's not here yet. Like, man, I don't know. He doesn't live in my. He's not my next door neighbor. I don't know where he's at. We were living in those Fort Sam Houston barracks, man.
Yeah.
Man, I remember the first time that you and I met, you were telling me how you got blown up and like your pinky was dangling on. I was like, holy shit, this guy's actually seen some stuff, man. That was interesting. Yeah, that was like my first time ever talking to you was you talking about getting blown up in Iraq.
Yeah, good times. There was actually a minor witch hunt expedition because I show up and we do our first, what do they call it? The payday activities.
Mm-hmm.
We do our first payday activities, and all the E4s, you got your Army service ribbon, and you got your whatever what are the two that you get just for graduating basic?
Global War on Terrorism.
The GWAT, yeah. So
the GWAT and the ASR.
And the ASR, yeah. So you have your two ribbons, and
that's
I show up.
I
show up as an E4. I got the two ribbons. I got the Armed Forces Reserve Medal with a mobilization device, NATO ribbon, Purple Heart, couple of ARCOMs and AAM. Like, so I had, I'm, triple stack as an E4, and they were like, oh, this dude. Presidential unit citation.
They thought you were lying or something? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, stolen valor or something. So there was like a little bit of a headhunting expedition to see, like, if I was making all this stuff up.
If you had the documents to support it, man.
Yeah, and I don't want to mention any names and actually now we're pretty cool. We're on pretty cool terms. We both kind of came into the Warrant Officer Corps together. But yeah, like they had my NCO calling my previous unit and trying to verify all this stuff.
They did all that? Oh my God.
Bro. And so this was before I knew what LSI scan was.
Yeah.
So they, sat me down in the office and had me like write out what happened. Like, how did I earn my Purple Heart and do a statement?
Oh my God.
And then, a couple months later, I get in the scan course and I'm like, oh, this is what they were doing to me.
They were really trying to, oh man, I didn't know they did all that.
Yeah, they did all that, bro. And all this happened like within my first 6 months in the unit. And, I kind of just learned to kind of step back, realize, hey, this is like real Army. This is real Army, not soft Army. Yeah. And so like a specialist, an E3 and E4 has no real place in the real Army other than, like you said, just shut your mouth and do as you're told.
Yeah.
And once I did that, I jumped in ranks and made staff sergeant.
Yeah, you made it quicker than I did, that's for sure.
Well, it's because I had the time in service already.
Yeah. When I was getting it, they were messing with the points. They cut out a whole bunch of points. I lost.
Yeah.
Back then, you had to have completed modules of the online, whatever that online training was. I don't remember what it was called, but you had to have full complete modules, and I only had like little ones. I didn't have a degree. I didn't have a deployment, so I didn't really have a lot of points.
Yeah, but you made it, man. You made your way. And, when I got to Fort Riley and saw, young Staff Sergeant Stevens, I was like, oh shit, man. Okay. Yeah. You're getting there.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different story. Our days in Fort Riley and
man,
the leadership challenges that that you were dealing with out there.
Yeah.
So that could be a whole other podcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the other thing that I kind of like to talk about is like opportunities that were missed in the Army. I know that the medical kind of pushed you out before you were ready, 8 to 10 years before you're ready. But what are some things that you kind of wish you could have accomplished that you really didn't get a chance to?
I wish that I would have been more self-motivated to go to specialized human intelligence related courses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I just never wanted to go to any of those courses, like Strat D or any of those specialized ones in Fort Huachuca. I wish that I would have pushed myself to go.
Yeah.
But granted, I don't know. In the grand scheme of things, I don't know if that really would have mattered. If I did go, maybe it would have changed what happened. If maybe I would have fought to stay in a little bit more. I'm not really sure, but that's one thing that I wish I would have pushed myself to actually do.
I think it definitely would have opened up more opportunities. There's a few additional units that you would have qualified for.
Yeah.
If you had certain fires on your resume.
Yeah.
I know, the DIA was looking for a lot of Strat D qualified NCOs to be debriefers and do stuff kind of at the national policy level all over the country. You could have ended back up in California without having to go to Irwin
or DC or
DC.
Yeah, could have been a whole bunch of places.
Yeah,
but that's I think my biggest regret is really that was my own doing. It wasn't, I can't blame that on anyone else. It's not like I couldn't have gone to SOC. I couldn't have gone to Strat D or something. It's just I was dumb. I didn't, for some reason, I just didn't want to push myself to want to go. So,
and by that point, you got a wife, you got a kid. It's like, it's harder to justify, well, I need to go away for 3 months to do this training.
And then, when I injured myself in 2015 or so, I think that's when I injured my ankle really bad. I had to get reconstructive surgery on it. And after that, I didn't do PT for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I didn't run for like 2 years. I would still walk. I'd still do, MSC days. So I wrote a temporary profile for 2 years. And when that happened, I think that really kind of killed my motivation because, my ankle was just not, it was swollen for probably like 6 months. Yeah. My boss saw it one day. I went camping with, he wasn't really my boss. He was like a co-boss of the blue platoon. He saw it one day. He's like, dude, you need to go see a doctor about that ankle because that is really bad.
Yeah.
So, and when it happened, it swelled up to like the size of a softball, started turning like purple and blue and black and all sorts of colors. And yeah, it was pretty bad. So, but I think I definitely wish I would have been more self-motivated. I think that is probably my biggest regret about being in the Army.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, do you have any other, kind of words of wisdom for those who are, interested in either joining the service or trying to figure out what they want to do with their career and take it either to the next level or maybe walk away from the service?
I've been out for 5 years, but I would say really, if you're not looking to make it a career, like if going in, you don't want to, you just want to do a few years and get out, just do that. Don't stick it out because you're going to hate it. Just to be blunt, you're going to hate it. It's not for everyone. It really isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
Do a couple years and get out. I mean, there's no harm in that. You served your country. You did so proudly and now reap the benefits of getting out, of being in. You got the VA loan is freaking amazing because that's how I was able to afford my house. You got the GI Bill. So ultimately only do it for a few years and get out. If you get in, you find out, hey, this is awesome. I love this stuff. Then by all means, try to stick it out till you're 20. Try to take advantage of as much as the Army will send you to training. I do kind of wish that I could have joined as like a 25 Bravo, which is like computer specialist. Because I have a buddy that in my last unit, that's his MOS was, man. And they sent him to like 8 different computer certification courses. And then he got out and now the dude's making like 6 figures somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, and I don't know if being Intel professional, I think the opportunities are there, even for you if you were still interested
Well,
in the
I
Intel
did
world.
do that year contracting in Iraq,
Mm-hmm.
where I made really good money. I got sent to Al Assad. Actually, I was there. Remember when all those ICBMs got sent
Mm-hmm.
to Al Assad? I was there. I had left Al Assad 24 hours before all those ICBMs. I think it was less than 24 hours, man. I remember waking up and seeing like 30 notifications on my phone. Like, what the fuck just happened? So, and Megan knew I was in Kuwait, but I didn't go posting on Facebook. Hey, I'm
Yeah.
in Kuwait, OPSEC, that sort of stuff. So now I'm looking at my phone thinking like everyone, because a lot of people did know that I was at Al Assad. A lot of my
Mm-hmm.
army friends, they knew I was there. I'd met up with a couple of them when I was there, and they're like, "Hey, are you okay? I heard about Al Assad," and I was like, "What is?" So I messaged my team up there because I still knew some people, and they said that one of the bombs hit like really close to my work building, and the roof had caved in, all the windows were blown out, the doors were blown
Wow.
off the hinges. So yeah, so it was pretty bad there, and the guys described it as like the scariest night of their life because they were staying in an underground bunker, and the explosions were so loud that it shook the whole underground bunker. So
Wow.
I couldn't even imagine being there. So, and then that caused all sorts of craziness to happen in Kuwait, trying to get home. That prolonged my stay there by another 2 weeks because of all the increased security. So,
Yeah. And
but
probably like emergency flights getting,
oh, they cut
missed.
everything, man.
Like,
They cut
yeah.
all civilian flights. They didn't care about civilians, about
Mm.
civilian contractors. As soon as that happened, it was all up increasing security and doing all that. But yeah, I mean, you are definitely right. There are, even for Intel, there's a lot of contracting. Well, I don't know about anymore since they're cutting out the 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 wars. So there might not be much as far as overseas availability, but there still is plenty of government jobs out there that they can get. And the more certifications you have, the better.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man. So I need to take a little break here,
Yep.
pay the bills. So we'll take a listen to some words from our sponsors, and then we'll be back online here with Mr. Robert Stevens. Welcome back to the Veterans of the Game podcast. We're still on with Mr. Robert Bobby J. Stevens. So
We never
Bobby
really
J,
told him. We didn't tell him how we came up with that name.
we have not told him. So yeah,
Is that going to be a trade secret? Is that something that we should share with people?
hey man, it's up to you, bro. I don't think it's all that embarrassing. So
It's
yeah,
not.
it's kind of one of those. What do you call it? It's like a little cliffhanger. So like people heard us say it earlier, and they're like,
Yeah.
what? Why the hell is he Bobby J?
I know Bob is short for Robert, but well, remember that we were on that training exercise up in was it Camp Bullis, wasn't it?
So the only two places I recall us going is either Bullis or Achuca.
I'm pretty sure it
I
was
think
that
two of
one
the
in
worst.
Bullis because we were all in those tents, and we were hey Quay. We were, I don't know, we were being stupid specialists, and for some reason we came up with my rapper name being, or my street name was like Bobby J, or no, it was my record label would have been
Yeah,
Bobby J
it's Bobby J
Productions. That's
Productions,
what it
baby.
was. Yes, for
Yeah,
some
so
reason we came up with that name. It was like Bobby J Productions or something like that, and that stuck with me, and that's now my gamer tag everywhere. So
yeah, that's right. It is
yeah,
now your gamer tag.
yeah,
That's true, man.
yeah.
And I don't know why. So a good buddy of ours, Duran Thurman.
Duran Thurman.
I don't know why me and him were hell bent on kind of just getting you a scrawny white dude from Orange County, California. We were trying to get you a little bit of street cred, man, and we kind of whatever.
I
You hung out with
appreciate it.
us.
You guys taught me a lot about being black. So
And a lot of things you kind of learn along the way as well. But yeah,
yeah.
we just we just kind of no, Quay. I'm trying to listen, buddy. I'm trying to do this podcast. I can't do this, man. Come on. I'm trying to be a professional here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, go play.
I'm going to get 1 star.
1 star. What are you talking about?
Playing GTA, man.
Huh?
He's playing GTA. He's got that 1 star.
He's trying to get me to 1 star.
Oh.
I don't like that.
So, yeah, it was really that one. God, that's that same one where that same exercise where for some reason Rod just kept dropping me for something, and how long was that training exercise? Just a couple weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah, we usually did for bullets. We did like 2 weeks. I know
Yeah,
when
and
we went to Huachuca, we were out there for like 5 weeks for that one.
2 weeks, I went from being able to do like 30 something push-ups in a row to like over 100 push-ups, man. That's how much this dude was dropping me.
Yeah, he made you strong.
I was being my dumb usual sarcastic self, and every time I made a sarcastic remark, Rod would drop me. So
he broke you, bro.
Man, it made me do a lot of push-ups, that's for sure. I was able to knock out I can just knock out 50 push-ups in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, he broke you, man. He broke you.
Man.
But yeah, it's little things like that, man, to where, we kind of wanted everyone in the unit to be able to get along. And I think you were kind of like the naive, kind of sheltered Orange County kid.
Oh yeah, growing up middle class, Orange County, like shelter. Oh yeah, dude, I was all white neighborhood, and granted, Orange County was pretty mixed, but all my friends were white. So you and Duran were really my first like 2 black friends. I should. As weird as that sounds,
this is gonna go down like
I don't want to
borderline racist territory, bro.
I'm not going down that road, that's for sure. You guys will kick my ass. Duran will come over and like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, he'll watch this episode and show up at your door.
Yeah, I know.
But it was like we really just wanted everybody, especially knowing we were going to be deployed, not knowing it was going to be 15 months, but knowing we were going to be deployed. And we kind of just wanted to be cool with everybody, man. And Duran has this personality where he can just talk shit to anybody, and it'd be fun. And it just be fun, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like nothing is ever really like bad natured.
Yeah.
And you just always seemed like you were kind of out on an island by yourself, and we were like, hey, come on in, man, come join the fold, hang out with us, and we're gonna deploy together. We might as well start treating each other like brothers now. Yeah. And it's just funny, man. I'm gonna give you a rap producer name, Bobby J.
You have your street name, man. Got some street
name. Bobby J Productions is your rap label.
Yeah, that's when I got invited to the barbecue.
The cookout. It's the cookout. Yeah, you got invited to the cookout, bro.
Yeah.
No, it's cool, fun, man. But I just wanted to say, like, so now that you've been out of the military for a few years, since you hung up the boots, what are your passions? What do you kind of do day to day that keeps you going?
Well, first, obviously family, my wife and my son, they're a big part of my life. Now my son's getting older. He's 11. He's actually with my parents right now. They take him every summer. They take him for about a month. They're retired. So last year they went up to DC and New York, and they got to see all sorts of cool stuff. They have a fifth wheel. They sold their house in California, made a bunch of money, retired and bought a fifth wheel and a big old dually, and now they tour the country.
So they don't live in California anymore?
Nope, they sold their house. They now live down in Brownsville, Texas. They winter down there because in the winter it gets to like 70 degrees down there. So
yeah, see, that's one of those things that had me and Duran gravitate towards you. Like, black people don't have parents who winter in another state.
Yeah.
That was a white guy thing that you would say. We're like, oh, we got to break this.
There was a lot of white people things that I would say that you guys were like, dude, shut up.
But no, so they spend most of their time in Texas, or?
Well, so every May they come here for the whole month of May. They stay they stay in an RV park not too far away. My dad usually helps us out with some home renovation project that we need. This house always needs something. But you see the 2 windows that are behind me here, my dad helped me replace both of these. But yeah, then this house is we purposely bought a fixture upper. One, because it was cheap. We paid like less than 150 for this, for a 3-bedroom house on an acre. And it's like, good luck finding that now. Now these houses are going for close to $400,000.
Yeah, and that's like you said, fixer uppers, man. Like
Yeah.
you're lucky to find a fixer upper for under 300,000.
Yeah. So I mean, and I've done so much to this house. Like we've replaced 8 windows. I've remodeled the bathroom. I've remodeled the kitchen. I've replaced floors and subfloors, and most of this I've done myself or my dad helping me. But yeah, and it's all just learning as I go. It's learning. I didn't know anything when I bought this house. I knew my dad had done some remodeling of his house back when I lived with him when I was a teenager. But that was like 20 years ago, so I hardly remember any of it. But now, I'm learning home remodel. I'm learning electrical. I'm learning plumbing and how to put down tile and drywall and put in windows. Man, it's a lot, man. It's really just picking it up as I go.
That's pretty cool, man. Because I've seen some of the projects that you worked on, and I'm like, man, I really need to get them to come up. Well, when I was in DC,
yeah,
I really need to get them to come up here and kind of help me put some stuff together.
Yeah,
because I bought that house in DC thinking that was going to be my forever home. Being an Intel dude, DC is kind of where you want to be. Yeah, and the Army literally swooped out, snatched the rug out from under me, and said, "Nah, we need you back in ForceCom.
Need you go to the good place."
The okay
great
place.
The great.
They call it the great place. It's really the okay place.
Yeah. Hey, man, I was at the center of the universe, so that's what they call Bragg, the center of the universe.
The center of the universe, yeah.
Airborne universe, yeah.
They feel like that out there.
Yeah, they do. Everyone there is like, oh, brag this, brag that. So
yeah. And some people make a whole career out of being at Bragg, and
if you're airborne, yeah, absolutely, you could stay there for like 20 years.
Yeah.
One of my neighbors, man, that was his only duty station. He was a sergeant first class.
God, man.
He did not leave. He had been in the Army for like 18 years, and he was only stationed at Fort Bragg.
You could do that here too, Fort Hood. You can basically spend your entire career, at the.
Why you'd want to?
The email. Some people love it here, bro.
Yeah.
Some people are dying to get here. Some people are dying because they're here, but some people are dying to get here.
That one female.
Oh, man, that was a rough year for Fort Hood, man. It was like 6 or 7, like popping up all over the place.
Yeah, that sparked a lot of change in the Army, though, which is good.
Yeah, it did, and a lot here too.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I've heard a lot of horror stories about coming to Fort Hood, and things are a bit better now. Mm-hmm. But all things government, the pendulum kind of swings a little too far to overcorrect, and so like now. Taking care of the soldiers and the family is more of a chore than it is a responsibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they've made it such a labor to just be good and take care of your soldiers, take care of your
really it shouldn't be. That should just be, something that you do, not something that's forced on you.
You should be able to get time allotted to do that. And then you being a good leader should be able to do it, should be willing and able to do it. And now that they're kind of trying to regiment taking care of your soldiers.
Now people don't want to do it because it's being forced on them.
Including the soldiers that,
that need it.
Programs that are supposed to look out for them. And they're like, oh my God, we got to go sit in these briefings every Friday and every quarter. And that's a bold move to take the ball cap off, bro.
I know, man. Look at all this hair that I'm getting. I got to grow out my hair now that I'm no longer in.
Hey, summertime. This is the way to do it. Streamline that dome, bro.
Dude, if I did that, my head would just get burned.
Well, that's what the ball cap is for. You streamline it, and then you wear the ball cap to protect it from the sun.
No, I'm good. I hadn't grown it out since getting out.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to see what it looks like when it gets really long. Like I'm thinking like down to shoulders.
Oh my God,
that's what I'm trying for.
I need to see this. I need the two
I think
guys.
It's gonna be a while.
The two guys that I wanted to see with hair the most was you, and I don't know if you remember Johnstone.
Oh, Johnson doesn't have any hair.
I know he has always been bald. So he was like a 23-year-old bald guy when we first met him.
Dude was like a 23-year-old middle-aged dude.
I always wanted to see him with long hair.
If he watches
Always
this, he's
him.
gonna send me a message and be like, "Hey, man, what the hell?"
He's a funny dude, man. He'd appreciate it. He'd actually
Yeah.
probably send me a message and be like, "Hey, I need to be a guest on the
Yeah.
podcast so that I could get back at you and Steven."
You should tell him specifically to watch this one and see what he
Oh,
says.
I'm gonna tell everybody specifically to watch this one, man, because this is good times, man. I
Yeah.
really enjoy catching up with you guys.
Yeah,
So
man.
that's part of the reason why I did this podcast, is to kind of just expose the human side of being a soldier, man.
Yeah.
Seeing what we're like when we're not in uniform. So
Yeah.
this is pretty cool. So other than just family time and throwing thousands of dollars into remodeling projects,
Tens of thousands, if not
tens,
more.
yeah, at
Yeah.
this point, tens of
Yeah.
thousands. But the equity is paying off for you, though, right?
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully. Hopefully there's not a huge market crash and I don't lose a whole bunch of money. But with the way the housing market here is going, I think it's going to be, I think in 20 years we'll be decently well off. That it'll be a good investment.
Yeah, and if the market crashes, just hold on. Just hold on.
Stay a little longer.
Yeah, that's all you got to do, man.
Yeah. Besides that, I really like gardening. I've started my own miniature homestead, if you will, backyard homestead. I have several raised beds that I grow 2 different types of cucumber, zucchini, three different types of tomatoes. I have this huge bed for corn, and I have chickens. So they're always fun. Chickens are interesting animals. They're really stupid, or they can be really smart. I really can't tell sometimes.
That's their game, bro. That's their cover.
They can either be really stupid or really smart sometimes, but they're fun little animals, and we're trying. And we just got solar installed, so we're trying to be more and more self-efficient. At least I'm trying to. My wife, she mainly doesn't help, and she just rolls her eyes when I say, "Hey, I need more money to add another raised bed," or I want to start a water reclamation coming down from the gutters. So
is that allowed in Georgia?
Yeah, they don't care about that as long as you're not. And actually, in most states, as long as you don't have like a giant water collection pond, like no state's going to care about that. If you put in a rain barrel in your backyard, everyone online's like, "Oh, it's all illegal. You can't collect your own water." It's like, no, that's not true. You can put in a rain barrel and collect the water from your own roof. That for use in your garden. There's no law against that in any of the states. I did all my research on that one. And it's all because there was like one dude in like California or somewhere that created this huge pond to collect runoff water. And like it took water from the reclamation system or something. And then that's now why we have all these laws.
Wow.
Yep.
It's always one. So even in the Army, it's always one. It's always one. It's going to be a guy from Cali, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be a guy from California. Hey, so it's got to be someone, right?
It's you. It's all.
It was always me. Yeah. That was always the reason. Yeah.
No, but that's cool, man. So like, are you trying to like? Are you going to be one of those? What do they call them? Those doomsday preppers? You like?
No, I'm not going to go bury a shipping container in my backyard until supplies. I don't think I'm getting that level of prepping. I'm not, before I get into any of my conspiracies, I'm just getting my family in my area ready just in case there is some sort of economic fallout.
Yeah.
To where we can, because we started canning things. I've started making my own pickles. We started, blanching and freezing green beans that we grow. So I wish I could show a picture of it, but it's huge. I probably have like, a dozen raised beds.
Now we can, I mean, it won't be live on the podcast, but we can take these pictures. We can actually edit them in for you as well. So if you want, after we get off of the recording, if you want to provide some of that stuff, we can use
send
it
you some pictures.
Yeah, we can use it to kind of promote your episode and all that, man. So
there you go.
The magic of podcasting.
There you go. Yeah, this is my first podcast I've ever done, so it'll be interesting. If you ever need someone to come back and talk about, another topic in the Army or something, keep me in mind.
Yeah. This doesn't have to be the last, bro.
Absolutely.
We welcome friends of the podcast network.
Yeah. Talk about veteran gamers,
Yeah. That's also another big one. Actually, a few episodes ago, I had a streamer, a Twitch streamer, K2, the veteran. I
Mhm.
don't know if you've heard of him,
Mhm.
but yeah, I had him on
Okay.
for a brief session, and I hope our podcast got him some more followers and subscribers, and maybe your episode will kind of show people the way of self-sustainment and kind of not being so reliant on the on the grid and
I think
on the grocers and the distribution system.
that's mostly why I do it
Hmm.
is especially with the cost of groceries going up right now. Like, I could just go out and pick a whole bunch of green beans and boom, I got a side dish right there. And it's actually really funny. I was pulling weeds, and last year I had grown potatoes, and they didn't do very well.
Hmm.
I didn't really get any potatoes last year, so I just kind of left that bed alone. And this year I started pulling weeds, and I pulled up a thing, and I had this massive bunch of potatoes, and I was like, holy shit. Kind of surprised, man. It was a complete accident. They were purple potatoes, right? So they had this cool purple color. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make some purple potato soup. Where you blend it up with the immersion blender and all that. And I thought, oh, it would have been really cool to have this purple. No, it turned out gray.
Oh yeah.
You know what
So,
poi is?
point? No, what is that?
So poi is it's a Hawaiian dish. It's like a gloop. I really don't know how to explain
That's what
it.
I was about to say. It turned into like
So
some
so
gruel or something.
you're supposed to dip the pork that they make. They bury it in the pit.
Hmm.
And it's a
Yeah.
very very sweet pork. You're supposed to dip the pork in the poi and eat it. I only had it because I went there in high school for a marching band competition, and then we went to a luau and had a traditional Hawaiian meal.
Mm.
That's the only reason why I know what poi is. But that's what the color of this soup was. It was like a purplish grayish soup.
Yeah.
And
It,
it tasted good, but
I was gonna say, yeah, did it at least taste great?
it tasted really good because I made it. I had the potatoes, it had carrots from the garden, celery from the grocery store, but and it had a leftover ham bone from Christmas.
Hmm.
So it was a really cheap dinner, and it tasted really good. It just looked kind of funky.
Yeah, that'll happen, man. You experiment with your garden, and
Yeah,
you can drop some food coloring and stuff in there, and kind of
yeah.
make it what you want it to
Make it a
look like.
different color. Yeah, but yeah, I had this set in my mind. It's gonna look really cool, and it didn't. It just looked kind of
Yeah, that'll
dumb.
happen, bro. Are you
Yeah.
so? Are you planning on expanding? So you have what, just chickens right now?
Yeah, I don't have enough property to really do more than just chickens.
Okay.
And where I live in Cobb County, you can have a certain amount of chickens per square footage of your backyard, and
Mm.
so we're allowed technically to have 6. We have 7, but we don't have any roosters. We used to have a rooster. He was a jerk. Roosters are jerks, man. They charge at you and they peck you, and this one, it would chase my son around the backyard. It was so funny. He go, oh my god, and he'd just start chasing Riley, and Riley would run around, but we ended up having to get rid of him because he charged at my wife and scratched her and drew
Mm.
blood, and so we ended up lucky we didn't cull him, as they called, and make stew out of him.
Yeah.
But we ended up giving him to a local farm who needed a rooster. So
Okay.
yeah, now we have all hens. 2 of ours are producing, so and they're Rhode Island Reds, so they produce 1 egg a day. So we
Okay.
get 2 eggs every day, and
Yeah.
then the other 5 we just got. They're black, really kind of cool looking chickens, but they're not producing yet.
Quay, buddy.
I want to tell you something.
Quay. Whenever I'm recording, why are your hands so? What is on your hands? Oh my goodness.
Cereal.
I don't miss that, man. I don't miss that about being a parent. I'm glad.
Last day, I saw the fly just use a fly button, and it clicked it, and all the fly did is it glitched and then turn into a bug in the fan.
Oh,
And
okay.
then it was falling down and it hit the ground.
Oh, okay. And then so we got rid of that fly.
But it was still alive because it was very So I tried smacking it,
Mm-hmm.
and when I used my super dunk, when I morsed it death, then it was already dead.
Okay. All right.
Okay, he killed the
All
fly.
right. Sorry. Yeah, right. Are you finished eating?
Oh no.
Okay, go ahead and finish eating. Let me finish this call, and then we can chat. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. So I was about to ask, man. Are you planning on like expanding to other animals? You getting some
Um,
goats or anything back there?
so if I would like to move and get a bigger property. I think a couple of years ago we were planning on it, but the way the housing market's going here, it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon because I only live on an acre. Can't really have anything other than goats. Megan keeps saying she wants those little fainting goats or a pig.
The fainting goats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
she
I'm
would
like,
be
no,
in
we don't
need.
have enough. I said, okay, you know what? If we move out of the country, we get 5 acres. Yeah, sure. You can get some goats. We'll get a pig. We'll have more chickens. But, it's the housing market, unfortunately, right now. That's where we're stuck. So
Yeah.
that's why we just decided to make this house ours. We got solar installed. We're increasing the backyard. I cleaned out the backyard because this house was really neglected when we got it. So the whole backyard you couldn't even really see. It was all just bamboo and overgrowth. So I cleaned all it out, and yeah, now I'm opening it up. I'm gonna probably put in like a butterfly / pollinator garden. So it's really it's therapeutic to be out there. You get to water things, you get to see life that you create. I really it's really a passion of mine is gardening and growing everything from seeds too. You see, I don't know if you can see, but this is where I get all my seeds from. They're a big company, Baker Creek heirloom seed. They make really good seeds, and eventually I'm gonna grow even more. I'm gonna make the garden even bigger, just to trying to get more self-reliant.
Okay. All right, Bobby J. What you got? Any other passions that you wanted to discuss, or?
Not really. I mean, just working on the house and working on the garden and spending time with my family. That's what I do now that I'm out.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, so is there anything that you want the people to know? You got any websites or your social media? You want to get some followers?
I
Some
don't
some.
really do all that, man. I'm barely even on Facebook.
Yeah, I was gonna say you want to
mostly
get
on
some.
Facebook to post pictures of my garden. So if they want to see gardening pictures, I guess they could follow me.
or you can start your own your own DIY YouTube channel.
I had actually been thinking about that,
Mhm.
creating my own like gardening / do it yourself or home improvement YouTube channel, but I don't really know where to start. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it, but I haven't. I'm not there yet. Maybe soon.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's very easy to start, man. You get a
Yeah.
camera, you point it at whatever you're doing, and you talk about what you're doing while
There
you're
you
doing
go.
it.
Yeah. Could
That's
do
it,
that.
man. That's all it takes.
Yeah. Maybe I'll start doing that. I don't know, next year or something. Because I'm also thinking of starting my own like seedling business, going around selling seedlings online or selling at like farmers markets, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking about doing that because that's one thing I'm actually pretty good at is growing things. Apparently, I have a
Yeah.
green thumb.
Yeah. Sounds like you're primed for it, man, and you don't mind getting your hands dirty. And
And Georgia, it's so easy to grow here because it's hot, it's humid, and it rains a lot. So
yeah.
everything grows. It's just the soil sucks because it's all red clay, so you have to do raised beds.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's easy to grow stuff here.
Well, awesome, bro. So if you don't have any final words, any parting words for the audience, I guess we can wrap that up, man.
All right, sounds good,
been
man.
about an hour.
Yeah.
Taking you away from your gardens or
Yeah.
your chickens for about an hour.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Once again, this has been the Veterans of the Game podcast. Join us next time as we listen to more stories from veterans of the game of life. Until next time, Chief out.